expanded now, yeah.
But then I get, again, thinking...
So let's briefly talk about types of content. We go next. Yeah, so basically stories is something that you do for your existing audience. It's where you open up as a personality. You still show what you do professionally, but you also show them who you are as a person so that they connect with you. But this is mainly for people who are already following you. And then Reels is something where it's a great way of like promoting yourself without like putting money in it. It's a very good way of organic promotion. And if we just go to the next slide, I've put together some ideas of what types of content works really, really well. I would suggest like kind of thinking of it from the education perspective side. Whatever you do, if you are a musician, an artist, like a photographer, whatever you do, if you are at some point interested in teaching it, explaining how you do what you do, it's really, really great type of content that people save a lot when you kind of break down the process. So the next type of content, so not everyone wants to teach, obviously, so the next type of content that works really, really great is the inspirational type of content. If you are, I do dancing, so I follow a lot of dancers. There is this type of content where people just post like a brief part of their performance, and sometimes they don't add any words, but sometimes they also add some inspirational quotes. It works great as well. It's good to do experimenting. The thing with Reels is something that on the one hand you can impact, on the other hand it's also quite a bit about your luck and consistency. I've been personally like doing Reels, and then yeah, some Reels they stay like within the very average reach, but some they just kind of go very, very high in views. It's quite about being consistent with what you do. So the next thing in terms of like content strategy that you can consider is sharing like your lifestyle. This is also very interesting for people, especially if you do something. So this girl, for example, she is a dancer from Moulin Rouge, and I guess for many people it's quite interesting how's the routine of artists who work in like such well-known like places, I don't know, theaters, what's there behind the scenes. So if you are like, let's say, if you are doing acting and you work at the theater, do show this because it's very interesting for people, and it's a very, for you it will be like your routine, but for people who want to learn more about that, it can be like eye-opening, and yeah, that's very inspirational. We can go next. So basically, as I said before, use social media to show people the way you want them to perceive you. And based on that, choose your content strategy. Now we will talk a bit about LinkedIn. Who uses LinkedIn? Can I just check? Okay, great. I see a couple of hands. That's great to know. So I'll explain. Can I also just please ask you? Can you just like maybe shout what areas you work in?
Go.
Podcasting, yeah, great.
Engineering/photography.
Okay, great. Hospitality.
Media comms.
Okay, great, amazing. We have a big variety of people. Actually,
this is great.
actually more than I expected, because I was mainly thinking we would have like people from just creative industries, but I'm really happy to know that there are way more people. So LinkedIn is a really great way to get people to give you job. And the way it works, it's really based on algorithms. So if we go to the next one, the reason I want to talk a bit about LinkedIn and why I understand its big importance is because when I was just starting my career in social media marketing, I've been working at a career consulting company. So every day I was dealing with cases of people applying to jobs, and I've been writing and reading about how to do your LinkedIn, how to do your CV. So I have have a lot of that experience and I want to share it with you. So again, back to the basics. It's very important. These things, like for me, for example, when I look at it, I'm like, shall I really tell people about like putting their name and putting the description, putting the about section? Because it seems so straightforward, right? You don't need a person to come and tell you feel listened. But actually, so many people don't do that. Not because they don't know they need to do that, but because mainly people are a bit lazy. So I really encourage you, if you want to start like getting jobs, people reaching out to you, I'm not sure if this will be like your ideal like employer, but it might be. So please do this. Do write the description. It needs to be like the most up-to-date thing you're doing. And in the about section, using some keywords, explain what you do, explain your experience in 3-4 sentences. So the next slide.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So again, this is very, very small, and I can share a bit more of that if you want to just like, I don't know, reach out to me separately after the event. I can send you this. But basically the idea is that both in your CV and both in your LinkedIn profile, you want to really write word by word what your current position is, what your past experience is, and you want to talk about your position, your responsibilities, and your achievements. Now, let's say it is great, it works great, you might say, for people who work like in the bank, or who do engineering, or who do marketing. How does it work with people who are more in creative industries? So when I was doing talent scouting, I was looking for photographers. Photographers are, it's great to find photographers on other platforms. But then our project got expanded and they started looking into people who have experience in art direction, because I started setting up productions that were supposed to have like bigger teams of photographers, and they started looking on LinkedIn. So the thing, another important thing that you need to keep in your mind. Sometimes you might be, let's say, an art director, and you're doing your day-to-day work, and you're like, okay, it's very straightforward what I do, but it is not for other people. That's why you really need to break it down. What is your daily responsibilities? Like, even if it sounds like too obvious for you, for other people it's not, and maybe that's how other people will understand that your experience is exactly what they need. I guess enough about this. If, again, because the text is quite small and you might not see it that well, please do reach out, I'm happy to share. If we go to the next slide. So yeah, just some other sections to think about is if you have like your portfolio, if you have any awards, you need to submit them, because that's how people can easily see your work. And going to the next slide.
Sorry.
No worries. And now I'd like to quickly talk about ways of working with big brands. To the next slide. So I'll share like this story, because I'm working at Harrods, and recently my colleague shared with me an email of a girl who is an illustrator. So she basically reached out to us and she kind of explained why she wants to work with us, and I just got her for my upcoming project. So this thing of like, you can work with big brands by approaching big brands. You just need to know how to do that. So I'll explain you in 3 very easy steps how you can do that. First thing, think about the brands you want to work with, and do your research of how you can be useful for this brand. Now, another moment that is very, very important, either you are applying for a job, or either you are like reaching out to someone to collaborate with, you always need to tailor your CV or your LinkedIn or your introduction. You can't send to everyone the same introduction. If you're like looking for a job, let's say, it's very easy to write this like introduction summary, CV, and send it like to everyone the same one. That's not the strategy, forget about it, it needs to be tailored. So once you tailor it, you start thinking, once you've identified the companies you want to work with, once you've tailored your kind of introduction, you need to define who to reach out to. So this you do by using like your personal network. It can be on Instagram, it can be on LinkedIn, it can be if you find the email of a person, email them. But basically you need to be strategic regarding this, who to reach out to, because you can reach out to someone who it's like it might not be the responsibility of the person to look after, like, I don't know, the photography part, or like if you're a musician and you want to perform at an event, maybe you reach out to the person who has zero connection to what you're kind of asking them, and there is a high chance they will not reply because it's not in their role of responsibilities. So if, let's say, you're a copywriter, the logic is that you need to look for like an editor. If you're a musician, the logic is that you need to look for an events manager. So this is also like quite a straightforward thing, but just something to think about. You always want to think of a relevant person, and this is kind of the research you can do on LinkedIn, because people often write their titles. So, and last but not least, you reach out to them, you're being very polite, and you explain what value you can bring, and you attach your portfolio, your best portfolio tailored for this company, and you leave the contact details, how to contact you, and then you hope that they will respond. Most probably, sometimes people will ignore you, but do it regularly and someone will for sure respond, and you'll get a chance to work with some really cool companies. So that's pretty much it. I'm not sure how we are doing this time. Perfect. We have some time for questions, so if anyone has any questions, I'm really happy to answer.
Amazing. Firstly, let's just give a massive round of applause. I listened to talk. I thought that was great. That was honestly really insightful. One question I have, with all this branding, personal branding, you know, you work at Pexels. I've used Pexels before, and it is actually a really good platform for like video content and stock footage.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I really recommend you guys trying it.
What's one? Can you maybe give one example that maybe you've used where you've used Pexels for your own personal branding to enhance that side of things?
So I personally, because I used to work a lot with social media for different companies, I use it all the time, especially because I work a lot with video content, and we do have a lot of footages on Pexels. Footages meaning like short video content. And sometimes you might not have access to certain, like, let's say, locations or certain topics, but you are, I don't know, doing, let's say, a reel, and you want to include a very specific thing of like cutting an orange. And I assure you, you can find this specific thing. And the thing about Pexels is that it's quite cool. It's not like a very stocky website, so it's not like some awkward stock images. They're actually quite modern and cool. And have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yes.
They use Pexels.
Oh, really?
They used the footages from Pexels, and then they edited them. But we were like, wow, that's super cool. Yeah.
Cheats.
Yeah, but even big film productions use stuff.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. Does anyone else have any questions? I think we've got time for maybe one or two. Alex, I'm going to come over. I wasn't actually going to do this, but I'm going to. Hi, everyone. Hey.
Hi.
When you see somebody's Instagram, or when you look at somebody's personal branding, what are a few of the elements that really stand out to you, and what makes you think, wow, this is like a great profile?
I think for me, it's about if this is someone who I don't know about, and this person is doing something like as a professional. For example, this is I don't know, let's say a photographer again. I want to see that kind of their account is quite relevant. So if you start going through their like posts, reels, stories, that you can find and create an image, and you have like a cohesive image about what this person does, and you can and you have the resources within the page to learn about, I don't know, how the person started his journey, to see some works of the photographer, to see what, like, I don't know, what equipment the photographer uses. So it's basically, for me, it's about seeing this cohesive, having the ability to get this cohesive image from spending like 5 minutes on the profile. I think that's really good kind of definition of personal branding, when by looking at someone's page you can have like a really good idea of what the person does.
That's great, thank you. Thank you so much.
Cool,
Thank
cool,
you.
cool, cool, cool. Right, is anyone, we've got what time for one more question, I reckon, and then we've got an amazing musician coming out. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. What would you recommend for somebody who does multiple things? How would we find a cohesive voice without compromising on any of the things that we do?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, and it's also a very difficult question, and that leads to a difficult decision. The best thing you can do is to be honest with yourself. What is the one thing that you wanna kind of focus on most? We all have different interests, we all have different hobbies, we have like different occupations, and each of us has like different hobbies. So it's not that you're only this and nothing else, but it's very, very important to choose one thing you want to focus 90% on, and then add the rest of the things to show how like open-minded you are as a person, like how many hobbies you have. But if you want to really promote one of the things, this needs to be the focus. You can't one day go and be like, okay, today I'm this and tomorrow I'm that. It's because for people, they also need to build trust, and they can build trust when they understand that you are a professional in this, and they understand that you are a professional in this when they consistently see a kind of your experience, your expertise. So yeah, unfortunately, it's best to focus on something in particular.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much, Yelena, for that really insightful chat.